Hello and welcome to this tutorial on PhotoStatistica. This session is going to be focused on importing EXIF data into the PhotoStatistica database. You can check out the other tutorials where I'll cover the actual charts and filters in more details to help you get the most out of PhotoStatistica. Today I'm going to cover how to import EXIF data from photos held in a directory, or secondly from photos held in what I call an archive or catalogue. I'm going to show you how you can update the PhotoStatistica database should any of those images have new EXIF data associated with them, or perhaps they are deleted or added to those directories. We're going to look at how you can include and exclude particular photo sources from the analysis. And finally, what to do if a photo source name changes or its location moves. How do we get the database to reconnect to that? Let's get stuck in. I prepared a few little materials for this demo. I haven't got many images in because I want us to just focus on what PhotoStatistica is doing. So we won't be looking at all at the analysis here, just really on the right-hand side. Now, what I will do is I will zoom this screen in so we'll just focus mainly on this left-hand side. So there'll be a bit of a cut down the screen, but I think it'll make it easier for everybody. Easiest way to get EXIF data into PhotoStatistica is where the photos are held in a directory or a subdirectory. So I've prepared one here, folder 1. Let me show you what's inside there. Okay, so I have got one image and a subfolder. In that subfolder, I've got 1, 2, 3 more images. So that's a total of 4 images. First thing we need to do is add folder 1 as a photo source. So 2 ways to do that. I can drag that photo source in there, and there it's appeared. Or if I prefer, I can click the Add Photo Source button at the top here in the menu bar and come to a file browser, navigate to where the folder is. There it is, folder 1. And I'm just going to open that, and in it goes. Same result. With that done, I now need to import the EXIF data. So I'm going to hit the import button. PhotoStatistica will scan that directory and its subdirectories for images and put in the EXIF data it can find. So hit that button. Of course, only 4 images, so very quick. And there it's brought it in, and there are the 4 images. You might have noticed there's a funny little icon here, little stacked squares. What does that mean? That shows that PhotoStatistica is going to look in that directory and its subdirectories. You might not want that. So if you go to the photo source's own menu, which is the little carrot on the right-hand side pointing down on the right here, click that and say exclude subdirectories, and then rescan. It's going to go there, and now you can see it's got that one image at the top level in folder 1. Let's put that back. Include the subdirectory again, that icon appears, and then rescan. Okay. The second place you might be storing your images is within what I might call a catalogue or an archive of a digital asset manager program like Capture One, Pro, Apple's own Photos app, or Lightroom. So let's look at that scenario. Now today I prepared a couple of Capture One Pro catalogues. You don't need to understand Capture One Pro, but I think you'll understand some of the subtle points around here. I'm going to actually, hiding behind PhotoStatistica here is Capture One Pro. Let me bring it up. This is Archive 1 here. And I want you to just focus on just a couple of things. There's just 2 images inside this catalogue, and they're actually inside the catalogue. If I come down here where my mouse is, you'll see it says in catalogue. What this means is these images were actually stored in this file here. They were copied in when I imported them. So how do I get those into into PhotoStatistica? Well, let's go back to PhotoStatistica. Again, it's going to drag in Archive 1, and there it is. It appears in alphabetical order, so at the top there, and I'm just going to import the data. And then those 2 images are in. Good. Let's look at another scenario though. I'm going to go back to Capture 1, and I'm going to just flick you back. I'm going to go to the second archive here, something called Archive 2. This is subtly different. It's got 2 images in it again, but they're not held inside this archive. They are pointing at a folder on my machine, in this case folder 2. They're pointing here. Let's have a go at trying to get these inside PhotoStatistica. So I'm going to take Archive 2, try and get in, come to this menu, import the data, and nothing's been brought in. In this case, PhotoStatistica will not be able to bring those images in. What you will need to do, because really these images don't live in Archive 2, they live somewhere else, is you need to point PhotoStatistica at the same place you've been pointing your asset manager. So in this case it's folder 2, so I'll drag those in and import the data, and there they are. Another subtle point, but worth mentioning, is in the case of Apple Photos or Lightroom, you might be also connected up to those services' cloud-based storage, and they might have moved some images off your machine up to the storage, the cloud storage, and are no longer on your machine. On that case, PhotoStatistica will not find them. It will only find stuff that's on your machine or a hard drive that's attached to your machine. Final point on this is when you are representing folders, you might, by chance or design, you might have a photo source which is a folder at the top level, and then maybe you connect to one of the subfolders. Don't worry, it will not import photos twice. It will only import a photo once based on its file location. So that makes things easy for you. Next, let's look at how we update this database. Let's imagine that some of these images are either moved out or deleted from these directories or archives. Maybe you've added some more images in. Or finally, you may have gone in and used the Digital Asset Manager to put more EXIF data, and you might have added some keywords or manually typed in a copyright name or something. How do we deal with that? Well, all we actually have to do is hit the rescan button here. We can do it on an individual basis, or we can do it across all of them. So let me give you an example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add one image to folder 1. So here's that image on the desktop. I'm going to add that to folder 1. And I'm now just going to rescan all these directories. And it quickly goes down. And you can see now folder 1 has 5 images. If we take out images, it will delete them. If we, as I said, if you change the EXIF data, it will update them. So what this allows you to do is you can connect to a set of photo sources, such as this. You can then save this file. Let's just save this PhotoStatistica file. I'm going to call this demo. Let me just bring it across here so you can see that it's created a file, and close that down. You go off, you're doing photography, you update you drag them onto your machine or your archive, you come back to PhotoStatistica, you open up that database, and then you can just simply come here, click refresh, it will go down there and refresh them, and your analysis will update. You can also decide to include or exclude these photo sources from the analysis which is showing. Now you might do this, for example, say your business, you do a number of different disciplines. You might say do wedding photography and portrait photography, and you hold these in separate drives or archives, and you might want to do analysis on one or the other. Well, to make this easy, you can include or exclude sources from the analysis in a very straightforward manner. If you go over a source's name, like here, if you just hover over it, you can see it says click to disable source. So if I hover over folder 1 and I click it, the icon here goes black and grays out the number, and you'll see the analysis now is 4 of a potential 9 photos, and you can just switch those on or off as you like. So that makes it easy to run analysis on, in that example I gave you, all your wedding-based images or your portrait-based images, a quick way to do it. The final thing I want to look at is when a photo source moves or changes name, and PhotoStatistica won't be able to reconnect to it. Let me show you how you do with that. So let's do an example. Let's say that folder 1 has changed location. So actually, to demonstrate this, I'm actually going to drag folder 1 into folder 2. There we are, change location. I'm now going to try and re-import my data. Re-import my data. So I click on re-import, and you'll see that folder 1 now, it doesn't know where it is. It's put a question mark here on the left. So what we need to do, we need to reconnect this source. Source cannot be found. So come to its menu and find relocate source. Remember, that is in folder 2. There it is. I relocate it, click open, and now I can rescan that source. And we're back. Although after that rescan, just note that all the images are shown in folder 2 now, not folder 1, but all the images are there correctly. That goes the same if you renamed it or as well. So there we are. We've shown today how you You can import sources from either directories of images or archives, how you can update them when that data updates itself, include and exclude them from your results, and reconnect those sources. So that concludes this tutorial. Thank you for listening to this point. If you've got any feedback on the app or ideas for new features, we'd love to hear from you. We also really just like hearing it when people come and tell us what they've been doing with the app and what they've learned about their photography through it as well. That's really super. And that leaves me to sign off and say, hope you all go off and enjoy some more photography.